Welcome to Auto Ingenuity's demonstration of the ScanTool software. I'll begin this demonstration by connecting to the vehicle. In this case, I will select Vehicle and Connect, or I can simply press F2. It will attempt to find the ProLine hardware. After finding the ProLine hardware, it will now begin communications with the vehicle, determining which protocol. In this case, it found a Lincoln 2007 Navigator. At the very bottom is a list of controllers available for this vehicle. As you can see, we have the capacity for ABS, airbags, body controllers, and the two flavors of powertrain. The enhanced, which the software will always default to, and the generic powertrain, which is OBD2 only. In selecting a controller, press OK. It will begin loading the specific list of sensors for this controller on this vehicle. Upon its completion, you will be prompted whether you'd like to retrieve trouble codes from all systems, the current system, or none. The advantage to a technician for pulling trouble codes from all systems is that you can also perform a network test. In this case, I'll be able to determine whether a system has a trouble code or whether it's even equipped or responding. Upon completion, the first tab of the software will then show each of the individual trouble codes specific to the controller. In this case, you can see powertrain and the trouble codes related to it, transmission and its. Also, each trouble code will have a plus symbol next to it. In selecting that, you may get further information, in this case, status or module information. Like I said before, a trouble code will either report for a controller, no trouble codes can report for a controller, or if the controller is not equipped on the vehicle, it will show you no response from that module. With the Auto Ingenuity ScanTool software, there's multiple ways to display information. We can show the information as a meter, in two forms of a graph, or my favorite, the grid. In the grid, by selecting each of the individual sensors, we can one by one add them in. Very traditional way of adding sensor data. One of the advantages to the grid is by selecting the column header, you can display all sensors on the vehicle. In this case, the grid also is showing something that the other two can't do, which is display textual information. In the case of the brake on-off, you can see that it's off. If you're dealing with a sensor or a state, a bit state or a state sensor, you'll be able to see whether it's on, off, open, closed, or whether it's a park range, a first gear, a second gear, so that information can display, instead of numerically, it can now display as a text. You also have the capacity to configure this sensor by simply clicking the ellipses. You can change the sampling rate, the base unit of measure, the scaling, the domain and range, and also whether a sensor can trigger. You can have several trigger types. You can trigger data logging, playback in an audio file, or a visual marker. That can be explained better in the user guide. I'm going to move to the next feature of the Auto Ingenuity ScanTool, which is the consolidation of the OBD2 O2 sensors. It effectively consolidates three things. The fuel system status at the top, and you can see in this case we are in a closed loop. The live data from the O2 sensors, and on the bottom the Mode 5 test results. What the Mode 5 test results do for us is they allow us to help determine the exact range for the O2 sensor voltage and fuel trims. In this case, this vehicle does not support Mode 5, so it's only showing zeros. Should this vehicle have reported it, by clicking Zoom to Voltage, it would have zoomed in to a preset range the manufacturer had set up. In this case, we zoom in to a default. You also have the capacity to show two. In this case now, we're going to watch not only the O2 voltage, but its corresponding trim. The next tab is the Test Onboard Systems tab. And this is the system level functionality which will report data as well as require inputs. This is where you'll find key on, engine off, tire size configurations, and this will dynamically change the user interface based on what requirements this function has. The sister component to the test onboard systems is the actuation tab. This is the component level bidirectional controls that we're most familiar with by simply changing the commanded state, in this case from off to on, and engaging it. The vehicle's hydraulic pump motor is engaged. The windows at the bottom are, in this case, a window shade. They can be pulled up and down, and if I unpin it, they can be moved around and docked. In this case, I'll repin it, and when I don't need it, I mouse off it, and it will hide again. The final tab is the test onboard results. In this case, this is the test onboard results for the vehicle as well as its Mode 6 data. As you can see at the top, we color code the test onboard results into green for complete, red for not complete, and yellow for not supported. Reporting at the bottom is the Mode 6 data. It's fully translated and scaled per the manufacturer's specifications. This data will report in. You can use this to determine whether the test onboard system result at the top, why it passed or failed. And as you can see, there's a lot of data related to misfires, which is very useful in Fords. Once this completes reporting in, you also have a very unique feature to AutoEngineity, the ability to create a report. Now you can recreate trouble code reports, Mode 6 reports, emissions reports. In this case, I'm going to demonstrate with the full IM and Mode 6 report. The trouble code report on the DTC tab will just simply take all the trouble codes that you saw and put it into an XML file. The advantage is the XML, they're tiny, they're color coded, and you can print them, so you can save them for offline or online work. In this case, we're going to make a full IM and Mode 6 report, which is the test onboard results from the top and the Mode 6 data from below. By selecting No, it's going to prompt me for the file name, test1. It's now going to make that report and display it for me. Now in this case, at the very top, it asks for this, it shows the shop address, phone, email, and timestamp. That information is set up at the installation of the ScanTool. The selected make, model, and year will be displayed next. And finally, the Mode 6 and test results. This can be printed and brought to the customer. That concludes our demonstration of the AutoEngineity ScanTool.